Architectural Review Board of the Town of Southampton will now come to order. Welcome to the September 19th, 2023 meeting. Ms. Doyle, the ARB attorney, would you please read the legal regulations for this meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. In accordance with the Town Board's adoption of Local Law Number 14 of 2022, the Board's meetings are being held both in person here at Town Hall and via video conference through Zoom webinar. The link to participate in this meeting via Zoom can be found on the town's website at the Town Clerk's Agendas and Meetings portal. You can also watch the live stream video and submit written comments through the town website. For anyone attending via Zoom, if you wish to speak during the meeting, please click the raise hand icon so our moderator can grant you access to participate in the meeting. If you're here in person, when your application is called, you can come up to the table here. And as a reminder, please state your name and hamlet of residence for the record before speaking. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
And
Ms.
Joe,
Doyle.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is Joe Burke on Zoom yet? Charles, let him in.
There he is. There he is. He's on. Okay, fine. All right, Mr. Rump, the Vice Chair, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Rump.
Very welcome, Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Jankowski, the Board Secretary, would you please perform the roll and notify us if we have a quorum?
Ms. Keys?
Here.
Mr. Rumpf?
Yep.
Mr. Charrier?
Here.
Myself? And Mr. Burke? On Zoom?
So,
We have a quorum.
thank you very much, Mr. Jankowski. Did the board members that were present review the minutes of the September 5th, 2023 meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
And were there any errors or omissions?
None.
None that I
If
saw,
none-
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. If there were none, do I hear a motion to approve?
Approve. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the September 5th, 2023 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Yes. Any old business come before it not on the agenda?
I have nothing, Mr.
None?
Chairman.
None.
Okay. If none, then we'll start with the agenda. The first is a sign application, Visual Comfort and Company. Is the applicant here? Would you please come up, please? Okay. And we have these digital, yes,
Yes.
Ms. Doyle. Thank you. Mr. Rump is the lead for this. And would you review the applicant and application and let the board know of your comments and approval or disapproval?
Start with your name.
Yes.
Richard Mado, I'm with Sean Leonard Architect, representing the applicant.
So there are two different signs. There's the,
Yes, there is the wall sign and the rock sign.
okay.
Wow.
You know who this is.
Yeah, it's right on the corner of David White's Lane.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no issues with the wall sign, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, because we're going to have to do these two individually.
Yep. Yep.
The wall.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rump. Mr. Jankowski?
I have no issues.
Ms. Keys?
None.
Mr. Burke?
No issues.
And I don't have any issues with it. I think it's attractive. That's for the wall sign.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve that.
I'll
As
second.
submitted.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the sign as submitted. This is the wall sign for Visual Comfort and Company. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you. Next is the, Mr. Rump, would you take the monument sign?
Yeah.
It's replacing an existing circle lighting, so I don't
Correct.
see really any issues with it.
Okay, so you approve
Yes.
of this? Okay.
And that's a monument sign, we call that, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
this was a monument sign. Okay.
I have
Mr.
no issues.
Jankowski, comments?
No issues.
Okay, Ms.
I
Keys?
think it's great. But should there be the number? Where is the number of
Yes.
the building on here? Is it anywhere visible?
It is not. That was existing right now, that was been pre-approved.
Okay.
Not a
Well-
problem, but what we've been doing, thank you for that,
Right.
only
Yeah.
just for emergency services. I know because businesses change and whatnot.
Sure.
So if you can put 355, like on the top of the rock.
On the top?
Yep.
Sure. we can
And then
have
this
it.
way, at least, we have the address. That's
Okay.
basically it. That's what we've been asking all our
But
applicants.
you're thinking, Ted, just above visual comforting
Well,
company?
because it's a unique monument sign that's
Right.
been there forever.
Right, no,
so-
but you don't want to place on top of the rock.
No, I thought just
No.
on that flat face
Flat-
side.
On the flat face.
Yeah, because if we're
I think
getting
that's-
there
Right
anyway,
there.
we're coming in David's White,
Right,
so at
right
least
here,
you'd
yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
all.
we
Is
could do
this
that.
lit? Is this sign lit at
It
night?
is lit, it's uplit from a light, I think they got a variance for that previously.
I get it,
Oh,
but
long
I
time ago.
understand.
Okay, Ms. Keys, approve or?
Yes, approved.
Okay, I don't have a problem with it. I would just be happy if it was a little less busier looking, but, and also added the number,
The number, okay.
which should be actual in the same format as the letters,
Okay.
same of that, okay?
Yes.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve the?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve with the addition of the address number above visual comforting company.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve with adding the number, the building number above the visual comfort in the same style of letter and size. And everything. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Yeah, next we have 261 Millstone. Is the applicant present?
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself on this application.
Well, we still have 4, so that's fine. Thank you. Good morning.
Do we though? Isn't this what we just talked about?
What?
Do we?
Yeah, we are, because Joe is on remote.
That's what I just asked.
What?
No, if he's on remote, then it's technically, you still have to have 4 here present.
We have to have 4
Uh.
present, because we did this before with just
No, we didn't.
one remote.
You can do 1 remote, but you have to have 4 present here.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Sorry.
We're gonna have to have you come back for the next meeting then.
Okay.
So, unless if you want a very informal review, we can do that for you right now.
No, you still can't do that.
Can't, we
No.
can't even do informal,
Sorry.
okay. All right, so we'll see you at the next meeting.
Would that next meeting be?
That's on October 3rd. October 3rd.
Okay. I don't know if I'm gonna be present for that.
Where
I'll
are
be
you?
here this-
Yeah.
Okay. As well, yeah.
You could, if you wanted, I don't know if you're able to zoom in, if you wanted to, if you can't be like here, you could zoom in.
Could do that. Okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
Okay, thank you very
all
much.
right, okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. And would you,
Let's make sure Tim's
Where?
not on the
Yeah.
other project then too. Can
Right.
you see if Tim can come in for the next one?
yeah,
He's just sitting outside there.
yeah, Carrie's taking care of it.
Thank you.
Yep, sorry about that.
So
Where
you're
is
You're
this?
off the hook there.
Did you find it?
It's so strange.
Well, you see, it's obviously a new subdevelopment. That's what it looks like,
Oh,
right?
so it's several lots.
That's what it looks like. At least we're starting one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I know it.
Yeah, we couldn't even vote on it. I don't understand that.
Oh, my client's gotta give
Yeah,
me
I
some.
don't understand those rules at all.
No, I don't either. That's one of the
We
things.
all voted, it makes no sense.
Right, because if he's allowed to vote, That-
And why am I even here? Like, it just makes no sense.
Well, it says if you're here, it's just that we can't actually have a meeting at all unless there are 4 present physically. So
But-
once we have 4 present physically, then it's as if you were here. While you're zooming in, you can do everything that you would normally do, but you can't even have a meeting without a quorum physically present.
But we were
So-
able to 3 years ago.
Yeah, but we were not, no, not challenging you, Kelly, I get it.
No, I
No,
know.
no, I
Well,
mean-
that's when the law had been different, when we could,
Yeah,
everyone.
because
could be
I'm
virtual.
remembering, like Mr. Jankowski, 3 years ago, we were able to do this.
That was
even
different. That was when we were, yeah, the law was
Before they
different.
changed the
Right,
hybrid law
right.
meeting.
That's when
Huh.
COVID was still, it was worse and
Oh,
still.
well, we did everything remote then,
Yes, yeah, the law had changed several times.
yeah.
It's back right now, like, I'm proof of that.
Oh.
So,
Yeah.
Well, you don't look ill, so,
no,
All we
no,
can
that-
see is his head.
Yeah,
yeah.
it went around my office, you know,
Oh.
2 of my assistants had it, just,
Oh.
it seemed back, unfortunately.
Okay, all right, next is 140 Hayground Cove Road.
Georgian
Wait,
Lane.
I mean, Georgian, yeah, Georgian Lane, sorry, skipped over that. Is the applicant here for Georgian Lane?
They might
No,
be online.
Applicant, it is up here.
Yes.
What?
Yes,
They're on
I have
Zoom.
one too. Ryan O'Brien.
Okay.
The Irish just aren't there.
Okay, I am the lead board member on this application. I'll give the board my comments and decision on this application. Would the applicant lead us through this?
Sure, hi,
Design.
good morning. My name is
morning.
Brian O'Brien. I'm the architect and agent for Michelle Fellman at 39 Georgian Lane. I've provided, beyond the set of permit documents, I've provided just a series of 5 documents that I believe were given to you yesterday as a PDF, is that correct?
I have, yep, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, we have them.
Okay. So the first 2 sheets are the elevation files from the permit set. And what we did is we took the second 2 sheets and we just used those elevations and we just assigned materials to them to show what we were intending, what we were thinking. This is a 1,200 square foot addition to an existing house. Essentially in the back of the property is the addition. So there are a couple things, and one of the things that when I had spoken with Kelly yesterday, just trying to get a read on this, our intention here was primarily in terms of materiality to be relatively mute towards the back of the property. So what we were calling out in this was not necessarily committed even, to be honest with you, as a permit set. And so we were calling out zinc flat rock shingles, for instance. And so what we've shown in pages 3 and 4 of this, and then in render on page 5, is we're showing these are the materials that we've been discussing. And frankly, this has been very much an open dialogue still with our client. And so we've been talking about those first couple of images are shown there in the center as references. Those are steel flat rock shingles. The second set of 2 are copper turn, so it's not copper, but it's turn coated. And then we were looking at the option of wood. So to be honest, we had not fully committed to materiality. And I do wonder if the board has comments on that or what the perspective was from the board on that we can speak to.
Okay, all right, one thing I can tell you, we cannot advise you what to use. You have to present it to us.
Sure.
So, I mean, you've got to make a decision on what you want to use. Do you want me to start commenting now, or are you finished?
I'm happy to. I'm happy to answer any questions, yeah.
Okay, all right, my first question on looking at this is, why you didn't keep in character with the original structure?
Sure.
You know, you have gable roofs and then you have flat roofs, you have a mass where the others are broken up. And the only way I could ever approve of this if the house is fully screened from the street and the neighbors.
I'm happy to speak to that. And is it possible for me to share a screen here, or is that?
Oh, yeah, we can.
Great. This is a little loose because this is this is the model in motion, so tell me if you can see that.
We can.
Yeah,
So I'm showing this just to show sort of what our intention was. The existing house is fantastic. I mean, it's beautiful. And so our intention with looking at the existing house was actually to change how we move out of the house. The house is very much a single-story piece. The interior of that single story is a gable all the way through. It's an open gable all the way through. And so the intention with what we're doing was actually, to be quite honest, to honor what's already there by building up in the back of that and being able to then essentially bridge over that gable. And so formally, I agree, it's a different piece, very much a different piece. But to me, that's very much how we should be building. This building was built as an object, as a particular object. And I think that what we're trying to do is then lift from that, modify how we occupy the space in that so that what we're doing on the second floor is very much independent singular spaces, whereas downstairs on the first floor, it is one large, open, kind of continuous space. And so we brought up what I think responds to the formal pieces that go around the existing house. There are these little volumes, these little boxes that the original architect had created that go around the house. So the idea for this was like, okay, well, if we're going to go up to a second floor, we'll take one of these pieces and we'll elaborate on that piece. So we've chosen a piece of the house. We haven't chosen the gables, but we've chosen the volumes. Taken those volumes up to the second floor, let it bridge over the gables, so the gable's continuous, but that it's a bit of a secret space in the back. I don't know if that speaks specifically to what you're asking. I hope it does.
no, it actually does not. You're focusing on the interior of the house and the interior spaces. You're here at the Architectural Review Board because we have to look at the exterior of the house.
Sure.
We don't look at anything other than the exterior, how it relates to the community and how it relates to the neighbors, which, since this is the area I'm very familiar with, your design does not relate to the surrounding houses or residences that are there now. And that's my comment on it. And like I said, I couldn't approve this unless it is actually fully screened. So,
And when you say fully screened, I assume you mean by vegetation or whatever it is around the property.
correct.
Is that accurate?
But,
I think, sorry.
but this would have to
I
be.
very well, so I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off.
Yeah, I mean, and if you intend on fully screening it, then I'm going to defer to our landscape architect on the board, Mr. Tim Rump. But we'll go through the other board members now to see what they feel about it. Mr. Rump, comments?
Well, is there any landscape plan, or can we go back to the aerial that shows where the property is?
For sure. I will say we were not planning on changing the landscaping. We were keeping the work that we were doing limited to the second floor, which is just this piece, just that piece in the back. So we were not planning or intending to change the existing landscaping as is.
So all of the deciduous trees and the evergreen trees that are on the border are remaining?
Exactly.
And then you have, it looks like you have, based on that,
Right.
that one elevation you show a large tree next to the addition, correct? There's a large deciduous tree that's just adjacent to the proposed addition, correct?
Yeah, there are a series of trees around there. I was just changing the screen so I could pull this up. We are relatively accurate when we build these models, but it's not necessarily every tree. There is a tree over in this corner.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not intending to build every tree in this. This is largely a
My
model
question
where we're
is,
focusing on.
Is
Yep.
this the entrance or is this the entrance?
I would just speak to, I understand what you're saying about, you're there to review the exterior, I understand that, and not the interior. I would only say that I would only want to speak to the fact that we generate architecture by looking at both. And we really are trying to be conscientious of both of those conditions. So the interior and what it does, it is not a stylistic object that we're trying to create. And so I understand it doesn't look like, another piece. I don't necessarily think that means that it's untoward or out of character with the nature of the island itself, which is building up. And I think that what we're trying to do in building something specific to this building, to this property, this location, I think is honestly quite a valid exercise.
Yeah, it's severely, it's well planted, Mr. Chairman, so,
Okay.
it's screened from, all the neighbors and stuff and with the way we're looking at it now, so.
Okay. So,
I don't have any issues with it,
okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Jankowski.
I guess based on the fact that it is well screened, like what you initially had said,
Yeah.
saying that would be the only way we'd let it go, because I don't see any other housing that's like that.
No, it's not.
It's not, right?
It's
So it's
not.
just, it is different. So as long as the stipulation is that all the vegetation remains, then I don't have an issue.
Okay. Ms. Keys?
I don't see how we can make any decisions without seeing specifically the elements that they're using to build the house, first of all. It seems moot to have conversations about it until we know what colors, what designs, what styles. So other than that, I still am not convinced that this house belongs in this community. So that's,
Okay, fine. Mr. Burke, comments?
I agree with Ted right now in terms of the screening, as we said, so I'm okay.
Okay, yeah.
Looks like, just to point out, there are 3 different renderings here with 3 different materials.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
he's still gonna have to pick
Well,
that.
he's
and
gonna
tell
have
us.
to pick, he's gonna have to come back. He's gonna have to pick and then come back,
right.
unless he can do it during this meeting.
Are those trees that are depicted somewhat relative to what the trees are on the site? Do we know?
In the rendering.
Yeah.
In these renders here,
Yes.
these are rendered over photographs.
Okay.
So the photographs are a few years old, so I will say that, I'd have to pull out, specifically, but there are a number of trees on the property, absolutely.
Okay. I mean, the trees, from my perspective, give the addition a lot of scale to the site and screening and things. If those 2 trees to the left of the addition, and either one of these,
Yeah, and
could,
adds an
it
opportunity
would
for
be
the
a
rest
lot,
of the place to
a lot more
I'd love-
exposed.
Just saying.
Mhm.
Oh, you're fine. I'm just telling you about that
Yeah.
picture. That's all.
Can I jump in for just 1 second? I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Just to make a comment on materiality, I would say that my inclination is towards similar to what a flat block of zinc is. Typically, it's, not going to be in zinc, it's going to be in steel, but it's a steel shingle. It provides a modeling, it's not entirely flat, there's a sort of visual texture to the material, which I think is quite beautiful and in keeping with actually a lot of the metals that are on the building already. That would be my inclination. The only reason we brought these others up in terms of turncoat copper or the wood is really, materials have a cost. And so even though, there's a cost to this on the whole, accessibility of the materials and those sorts of things have a cost. And so I just wanted to bring these up so that we are not necessarily paying ourselves in, but I would lean towards this first option.
Okay, well, you do have to be actually specific on materials and colors when you come to this board for it to make a decision. So you're gonna have to come back once the decision is made, and any of the landscaping that is there now, trees, shrubs, everything, if they die or go away or you cut them down, they're gonna have to be replaced with the same height, same density, etc.
I have someone on Zoom with their hand up. Should I bring them in?
Yeah. Sure. Yes, Charles.
Can we ask why he didn't do it?
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is it?
Oh, I'd just like to add one thing. A question for you. This is for the architect. Why didn't you consider a gable roof on the new addition?
I can show you where it started, which is it started from this. If you look at the existing house is a gable until you reach the southeast corner. And at the southeast corner, it's a flat roof. And to me, that was the start point of an addition. Is the original architect already created a flat roof at the south point, and that was the point where we used to actually grow the addition vertically.
But
So
it's-
that southeast corner and the garage both have that, and so we grew off of those spaces.
Okay, but it's, we're looking at scale too. Now you're up to the second story, which makes it a lot more, prominent in the elevations.
Sure. I don't disagree with that. I guess it is going to be, it's essentially exactly what you spoke to, which is just an opinion on what it is. So I like very much that the existing building has this one large gable, and then it has a number of other contributing parts, right? These little pieces, these little
Ready to tell me
gables,
off.
the thin walls that
I
extend.
know.
And so I like the idea that what we do is we do some version of the same thing that's not necessarily mimicking the existing house in full. And so we start with this mass here in the corner that then starts to climb as it goes over the gable and then climbs to a larger volume over in the southeast corner. I like, that to me starts to speak in a similar vocabulary, if actually in a slightly different language.
Well, then I'm gonna ask another question. The existing gable roof, why didn't you change that to make it flat to fit with the rest of the addition then?
Because I don't necessarily, it's a fair question, I don't necessarily think it's an either or. So I think the existing gable and what the existing gable does from north end of the house to the south end is really quite beautiful, which is why even when we step up and over that addition, or that gable, we don't cut it, we didn't flatten it. We actually climb up and over the existing gable.
No, I'm not saying to go ahead and flatten that gable, but you can build it flat out. You can build it up and build it flat, so that
Sure.
it'll be more in keeping with your new addition.
Because I think there's something beautiful about the history of making additions to buildings. I really honestly do. I think that we
Do you-
have buildings that are.
Then you're after actually making a complete dichotomy of what is there.
I disagree. I mean, we can evaluate that subjectively for sure, and we'll be as right as each other. But I disagree that it is necessarily a dichotomy. I think one plays off the other, and it starts to spin itself into a slightly different articulation, but it does come from something. To me, it does very much respond to that building. And I'd say that the work that I do typically does that. It tries to find something in the existing condition that it can then play from and respond to.
Yeah. Well, I don't agree with you either
Fair
on
enough.
this. Okay, there was somebody that raised their hand that wanted to come in?
Yes, I'm the owner of the house. This is Michelle Fellman. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I appreciate your time. I'm actually sitting exactly in the spot, happy to do a little video for you guys. I cannot see any of my neighbors from any point in my house, from where I'm sitting, and even from the front of the house. So I just wanted to make it clear that I am looking straight at trees, and I'm right under the addition. And there are trees to the south where I'm looking, completely blocking my neighbor. There are trees to the east, completely, they're probably, I don't know, Brian, 30 feet, 40 feet, I have no idea, they've been here forever. So, no, I don't see them.
Okay, but the addition is much higher than where you are presently, because that's just a
And I
one-level
I have
house.
plenty of pictures Yeah, and so I just wanted to make that clear to answer the question about screening. The second thing I wanted to respond to is that you don't think that this fits with the architectural nature of the neighborhood. And I think one of you said you live here. So I live on Georgian Lane. It's a very small lane. There are only 4 or 5 houses. Every single house except for one has been torn down and built around me, with one at the end of my street, which is an enormous, probably 25,000 square foot block with windows on the water, literally taking up the entire property, versus what we're doing. And it's the most modern looking rectangle house you've seen. And if anybody has driven down Rose Hill Road, there have been 4 or 5 $20 to $25 million houses, all built as big, modern, almost looking like Miami. So, I mean, we are trying to do something that is architecturally significant, that I think is as of right. I believe I have the right to build up, according to my zoning envelope. So I just, if anybody's driven down the street or anybody lives here, there are houses that are very traditional. The house next to me is brick. The house next to that is shingle, and the house next to that is a limestone, mega mansion on the water. So I don't really feel like we're doing anything that's architecturally offensive to where we live. That was the second thing I wanted to answer. And then the third one, in terms of materiality, if possible, and if this is going to go forward and you guys are happy with the screening and everything of that nature, I would like to say, we're going to do A or B, and if you guys are fine with A or B, we get that conditional approval or approval subject to that, or we choose A, because as you know, the seasonality of trying to build here is very tricky. And we've been working on this probably since COVID, back and forth. All the questions you've asked were things we looked at. We looked at flattening the roof, and that gets rid of the gable, and splits up the house. We've looked at every alternative to this, and to be honest, we felt this is the most architecturally beautiful, as well as keeping with the integrity of the original house.
Okay, well, look, you've been on, so you've heard all our comments so far. And the screening will have to remain, but you have to make a decision. We cannot go column A or column B. We can only decide on whether to approve it or disapprove it on your finality on the materials that you're going to use.
Is it material or color? I guess,
Color
because if
and
it's copper
material.
versus wood,
Look at
is that something that
no,
everyone
no.
matters
Look
in
at what's
your
on the ARB sheet. It has color and it also has material on there, and that's what we're looking at. We review all of that. We don't want to get into a situation of where, and I'm not saying you're going to do this, but somebody goes ahead and paints shocking pink.
It's so funny you said that, sir, because I happen to have a pretty crazy sense of humor. And after seeing the Barbie movie, I thought, wouldn't it be funny to show the board a shocking pink house and tell them that we were inspired by Barbie? But we use our better judgment to not do that. But it's just kind of funny that you're bringing
Well,
up the
we have allowed a shocking pink house, but it is totally screened in evergreens, and no one has seen it. So we're not that
That was a joke.
restrictive. What?
That was a joke.
Okay, I don't think it would have been a funny start to the meeting.
Well, so anyway, all right, well, look, when my suggestion is this: when you decide in a final submission what the material and the color is going to be, then we can vote on this.
Well, if we do that right now, well, Brian, do you have something to say?
I was just gonna say, how does this work? And this is really just a question. When somebody does that and goes through that process and you give that approval based on that selection, and then for whatever reason, availability of material or price or labor or something changes that and the architect and the client need to make a change, what is the process there?
You have to come back to us.
Okay.
You have
Fair
to come
enough.
back to us. If we don't agree with it, then you have to take it. If you've already put it up, you'll have to take it down.
Sure, fair enough. I mean, because I would say that the steel galvanum shingles is where we would want to be.
And what color are they?
It's a matte silver gray. It's kind of like what is on the existing, for the existing house, there are all sorts of little downpipes and meters in the existing house that are all done in this sort of matte, it's like a lead-coated material. So it's really quite flat and beautiful. But Michelle, unless you cut me off on that, that's where I would tend. And then if for any reason we needed to make a change to that, we would obviously need to come back to you, as you said.
Correct. Okay, so then you finalized on the material and also on the color. Do I hear a motion to approve this project with the stipulations of the material, color, and that it be fully screened, and if, as it is now, and if it's not, it has to be restored in the size and type of screening?
Are you specifying what the architect just said?
On what?
The steel shingles, matte
steel-
gray?
Yes,
Okay.
steel shingles, matte gray.
Okay.
Okay, do I hear a motion on that?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second? Okay, any comments from the public on this one? None? Then, okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Okay.
Second.
And seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, and I will say aye also, but I have still reservations on it. Okay, and that's it. It's gotten approved.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Right,
Thank you, good
right.
luck.
Thank you.
Okay, next is 140 Hayground Road, Cove Road. The applicant's here for that.
Yes, come in.
Okay. God, I got my other ones today.
Thanks.
Just across the water.
Hayground Cove.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's right across the water
Yeah.
from where we just were.
Hello,
Yes,
will you guys be sharing the screen or should I share?
It might be easier if you share, just so you can show what you want to show and go through your
Great, thank you.
presentation.
yeah.
It is. Pretty property.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice. The area.
Everybody see my screen?
Yes.
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 Great. Well, members of the board, thank you for having us. My name is Colin Martin, architect and partner, Gabonese Shepherd Associates, the architect for the project. I'm joined here with Mike Albert, principal at Design Workshop, the landscape designer in the project, and we're happy to be here to take you through 140 Hayground Cove Road. So we'll begin with starting through the site, the house, and then we'll end with the landscaping that Mike will take you through. So starting with an aerial view of the property, this is an existing aerial view. You can see the property here is bounded in red. For location, we are at the end of Hayground Cove, the main entry coming off of the cul-de-sac at the end of that road. The property has waterfront access along Hayground Cove at the western edge. On the northern edge of the property line is bounded by the town of Southampton natural drainage area. On the southern side of the property line, there is an existing property along with Oliver's Cove Lane. Also, what is important to note from this aerial view is you can see how from the existing property has to the west a lawn area, and to the north, which is encroaching into the natural drainage area of the town of Southampton's property. Moving to the site plan, and I'll just zoom in here for everyone. This is the existing house location. You can see that dash. This house which is composed of it's a 3-story home with an existing carriage house, and 3-story main house with an existing carriage house. This house is being demolished for a new proposed home. The existing house did cross the 100-foot wetland setback, and as well, you can see here, it had significant recontouring of the land, which contributed to that lawn encroachment within the natural drainage easements along the northern property line. Going to our proposed, the proposed existing home here. This is the proposed site plan. What we are doing, just minimize the screen. Coming off of the cul-de-sac, we are creating the new location of the driveway is coming to the southern edge of the property, which we're taking out of the northern side because we are proposing revegetating that area to provide more revegetated planting for our natural drainage easement. So that's approaching from the south. You arrive to a front forecourt, and then it is separated by a separated service court going towards the north, which is in pretty much the same location as the existing drive between carriage house and main house. So the main property, we're relocating the pool to the front edge of the house, and all of that is now behind the 100-foot setback line, including pool and main house. You can see the house here. We are also in an AE flood zone, so the house is raised. Right now, the main living area, kitchen, and garage area is raised to 13.5, which is 2 feet above the design flood elevation, which allows for a split level at the southern edge of the property, the southern wing arrayed along here, which steps down to the design flood elevation of 12, which is required by code. Moving on to just what we have as some design inspiration to show you the design of the house. So the design draws on Brazilian and Japanese modernism with low sloped roofs and long overhanging eaves. Nature plays a key role in the design, as the client wanted the home to be nestled in nature. So as you can see from the inspiration images, the house is conceived as 5 pavilions that are interspersed with natural elements of natural water elements and natural planting elements, which serve to break down the size and bulk of the home. You can also see here the materiality drawing from that Brazilian and Japanese modernism inspiration, how we have natural elements of wood and stone, which will comprise the materiality, the primary materials of the exterior of the home. Looking now at an enlarged view of the home, you can see here how this begins to show you how it's broken down into its 5 pavilions. You have the main pavilion here of the great room, kitchen, and entry hall, and then to the south, a separate pavilion of media and gym, and then a separate guest wing to the south, separated by a natural planted garden. You'll also have the garage separated by another planted walk, separating the mechanical space to to the north. So again, the pavilions are separated by these planted areas, starting with your main entry court, where you walk through a planted entry. You have a natural vegetated pond, also working in and between these pavilions. Natural planted areas connected or passed over with a bridge that connect the media room to the great room, and then planted areas to the water side of the house, which again allow for planting trees to create shade and also break down the massing. One here at the media and gym area and spa area, as well as a planting area between kitchen and dining. And then you have the pool, which all is elevated at the same height as the home, and then you step down to what is a smaller lawn in the front. This is the second story of the home, also where additional bedrooms, main primary bedroom is located, additional guest rooms, and a lounge. Let me just go back one. I just wanted to make a note. You can see here, this is the separation of the split level. When you enter into the main house, this is at 13.5, which allows for the split level. So the lower, the southern wing is at a lower elevation as it is closer, a lower height as it is closer to the adjacent property line. Moving to elevations to give you a sense of the materiality. So we have, again, the natural materials that come into play. We have a white sand granite with a honed flamed finish. Ipe decking that matures, that we are allowing to mature to gray. That would be the exterior decking for the home. Bulgarian limestone would be our pool surround, as well as some of the base of the house. You can see that in some of these elevations, and we'll go through them. The roof is zinc coated copper, so a gray that you see here, and that also all metals, metal trim, as well as metal window frames will match that color. And then the primary material, in addition to the glazing, is black locust, which you see here, which will also mature to gray. And that wood siding is arrayed in different orientations, some vertical, some horizontal, at balcony areas, as you see within these elevations. Again, this is the elevation here. This is the east elevation, so the main approach to the house. A lot of wood, primarily the wood siding. We do have a low wall that is here that you will see in that forms one of the arms of the court that is in the Bulgarian limestone. Going back to the back of the house, you have the Bulgarian limestone around the pool, the elevated pool that you can see here. Looking at the north elevation, this is the elevation that fronts the preserve. You can see here we have the garage doors in the metal that would match the zinc-coated copper, zinc-coated copper. And then the elevated service court here. The rest of the siding is in wood, and then the base of that is in the Bulgarian limestone. Roof is in the zinc-coated copper. Going to the southern elevation, here you can see the primary elevation of that southern wing, which is significantly lower than the main bulk of the house, because it is stepping down again to minimize the bulk at that southern edge. And again, that primary material is in wood with a connecting bridge in glass. So that's in the black locust, all of the wood siding here in different orientations. These are additional elevations. Here, number one at the bottom here, this is as you approach into the front entry court up to the front porch of the home. This wall is in the Bulgarian limestone that steps down, separating service court from main entry court. And then you have wood siding above, along with your glazing to match zinc roofing. This is the opposite side, this elevation 3, where you have, again, the black locust wood siding. Any metal trim is there to match the zinc coated roofing. And then I think I'll turn this over to Mike Albert, who will take you through the planting plan for the home.
Thank you, Colin, and good morning to all board members.
Good morning.
My name is Mike Albert. I am a principal and partner with Design Workshop Landscape Architects. How I'd start the conversation here is that our client had a very special vision, which was to nestle this modern home into a natural landscape. And that really manifested itself into 3 primary goals. Number 1 was to screen the home actually from the cove as well as adjacent neighbors. And that would be doing so by using existing trees and supplementing with proposed trees to really create a landscape that feels layered and matured and set into the natural setting. The second was to respond to the drainage area to the north that Colin mentioned, and really to blur the boundary between our property and the town's property there on that. And the third was to, with everything that we do, bring an ecological approach with the plant choices. So the plan that is on the page today will start with the area that is located in the setback, which is the thick black line shown. Everything to sort of the north and a little bit to the west of that in color. We've been working very closely with the Grimes Group to propose a diversity of meadows as well as shrubs and trees that would be located in there. As Colin mentioned, much of this area is either today in turf or it even has the driveway in it. And so that is all being removed for this. Over about 34,000 square feet of meadow is being proposed both on our property as well as helping to restore the rights of the past mistakes of encroaching into the property by the previous owner. If we go to the next page, this we are seeing a slightly rotated plan that the thick black line should orientate you, and everything to the south of it is what we'll speak about here. I first want to point out the large circles that are dashed. There's about 13 of them. Those are large existing trees that are existing on the site. They actually border the current driveway. Those are all being retained and integrated into the property. And so we feel that that is a significant impact for the properties along Hayground Cove. Also along the southern edge, there's one right by the cursor that is in the heart of the auto court, as well as one near the pool terrace, which acts as additional screening to the neighbor to the south. All of the trees and shrubs in smaller circles are being proposed in a loose, natural, planted fashion. And we want this to look natural, however cultivated. And what I mean by that is picking a select number of species and using them in repeated fashion. And so there is a consistency and a holistic vision to this property that unites it both inside the boundary, but then in its larger context. So there is an existing privet hedge that runs along the entire southern edge. That is being replaced with a more natural plantings of groupings of small trees and shrubs along there. And I would also point out to the left side of the pool, you can see the investment in trees, smaller trees, but nevertheless the bayberry and other ones that are appropriate along there that screens the mass of the pool terrace. There are 2 trees located up on the terrace that play important roles as well. Those are larger honey locusts that would help to break down the scale of the building and really help it nestle. The next page is the ground cover plan. And the starting point from this was working with Grimes on the outer portions and then actually transitioning that and blurring the line of the 75-foot setback on there. So the meadow actually comes on in to the property, transitions to more intense areas of shrubs and plantings along the base of the home to really ground it in vegetation. Much of the in-tree area is simply a larger meadow, and so you can see the sort of diagonal hatches that are associated with that. If you'd like to continue, Colin, we can move to then the renderings. So I'll start with this page and then hand it over when we get closer to the architecture. So the meadow continues out. This upper left-hand image is a shot from Hayground Cove. The meadow continues on out. The existing large trees are existing all in their current location. The upper right image is as the driveway is relocated and meanders around. There is a tennis court on the property. It is being lowered, it is being screened with no lighting around that. The lower two images are once you get closer to the home. The tree on the left is existing. The ones to the right in this image are trying to block and direct traffic towards the primary court, which is seen on the right side. The next image, maybe we'll continue on our next page, excuse me, is I'll start calling and then hand it over, but this is looking from the opposite side. So the upper left hand is looking back towards Hayground Cove and looking towards the home. So you can see the foreground trees that are softening the cool walls, as well as the shrubs, as well as the larger honey locust trees that are set right adjacent to the home in the upper right-hand image. And then the lower right image is the restoration that is about the 34,000 square feet of meadow that is replacing the current lawn. Colin, if you want to touch on any architectural items, I'll hand it back to you.
Sure, you can just see the renderings of the home here. Again, the natural elements of the wood decking. The pool is then in its Bulgarian limestone surround, which then, as Mike mentioned, is really broken down by the plantings from the trees and the surrounding shrubs. The planting that is then in the upper right image that comes between these, what we have termed the 5 pavilions, really does serve to break down the scale of the home and create additional shading elements and really mask it from view. Going to the left side, this is the northern side of the house. You can see here on the upper right, this is the natural vegetated preserve that we are bringing back and onto the property with reduced lawn area. The natural trees that we're maintaining here that also serve to break down the view of the house. Here again, you can see the wood siding, so really bringing in those natural elements, and at the base of the house, the stone, the Bulgarian stone, that creates a nice datum at the base. Looking, as Mike mentioned, there's a tennis court. This is a view from that. You can see the house through the trees, as well as the southern property line in both this bottom left image as well as the bottom right, where with the natural plantings, they really help to serve to screen that southern property line and the house, which you can see in the bottom right image, which steps down, so there's a lower bulk at that southern property line. And that is our presentation. Mike, do you have anything to add before we open for questions?
Okay.
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for a very professional and very complete presentation. Makes our job a lot easier in deciding. Like the way that the design is actually melding into the nature. And I have no problem. I think the design is really well done. And for that particular area, I think it'll be quite well, and well, I don't think you're gonna see the house hardly at all, but it will fit with the neighboring residences. Mr. Rump, comments?
I have no additional comments, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Jankowski, comments?
No additional, I'm gonna go with the lead, but it does look, I really like the way the house looks and the way it melds into the area.
All right.
I agree.
Ms.
I-
Keys.
Sorry. I think they're beautiful. I have one question. Is the height of the house larger than the previous house, or is it at the same level?
It's slightly larger for the main vault, but then the southern wing is lower.
And what about the square footage?
The square footage of the existing house is an 8,600 square
Hmm.
foot approximate
Uh-huh.
existing home, and then the new home is at 14,900 with attached garage.
Okay, I was just curious at the mass, the combination. And what is the square footage of the lot?
The lot, I'd have to look up.
It's all right. I think it's beautiful. I agree with everyone. I just needed the concept to be,
It's about a 2-acre lot, maybe a little more than that,
Mhm.
but the square footage I have to look up here.
all right,
Colin, it's 2.78.
all right.
Thank you.
2.7, yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Mis-
you.
Did you finish, Ms. Keys?
Yes, I'm finished.
Okay, Mr. Burke, comments?
Doesn't seem to be on.
I think we might have lost Mr. Burke. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Do I hear a second?
Second,
Motion has been made and seconded to approve as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Good
for your
luck.
time.
Yeah, good luck. Okay, next on the agenda is 111 Quimby Lane. Hi.
Good after,
right.
almost exactly noon.
Yeah, it is noon, afternoon now.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I'm Michael Haverland, the project architect, and this is Mike Benincasa.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, we're familiar with it. Should
I
be.
assume so. So just to be brief, the project approaches this really beautiful 3-acre property by breaking down the massing of the house as much as possible so that the scale is mediated for its context. We put most of the main house, the taller portions, in the center of the site, flank it by 2 lower garage wings, and then a single-story pool and carriage
Right.
houses opening up to the back landscape. The materials are stucco with different forms of texture. We use sand, local sand, and it's meant to reference the sand of the beach and sand that Long Island is made of,
Right.
the warm kind of palette. We also use natural cedar, which has a tradition in shingle-style homes and houses around the Hamptons. We also use windows that are not strictly modern with big panes of glass. We have panes, and they're
Mhm.
proportionate to what you would find on a traditional shingle-style house to try to tie it in to the larger context.
Right.
here. So I don't know if you have any questions, we can.
Okay, I'm the lead on this again, because it's in my area. Yeah, I looked at the digital presentation of this, and do you have a landscape plan
We
on
do,
this?
and I actually have supplemental drawings of the landscape too. This is the landscape plan. And I did note, just based on the conversation, we have privet around the entire property.
Around the entire property, because without the privet, I was wondering if you had anything that would like break up the mass a little.
Well, we actually have supplemental views of
Right,
the street view coming down Quimby
yeah.
with the privet and the gatehouse.
Right. there's no way, you didn't submit them to be shown in the meeting then? Just from what you
Just
have?
this landscape plan.
Right. Okay. All right, I don't have any problem with the design of the residence at all. I think you've done quite good for modern, and by the way you handled the windows, the fenestration, I think is really good because it ties it into some of the adjacent houses, if you would see it. I don't think you're going to see it though, but I think it does block that in. Regarding the landscape, I'd like to have Mr. Rump look at it and just take a look at it.
Thanks.
Clearer, thank you. Because I don't have any problem with the design, like I said.
Thank you
The
very much.
materials, I think, are gonna fit with the neighborhood in the area.
Great.
The proposed grading's not gonna impact that existing privet, or if it does, I'm sure the client will probably redo whatever he has to do at that point.
It's
Because it
intended
does
not to
show,
affect-
it does show the grading into the privet. I don't know if the privet's on your property or if it's kind of on the property line, so it's on both properties. But that would just be a concern, because I looked at that before.
Yeah.
The privet's on our property, and we have a retaining wall here at this
Right.
point, but the grading is shifting so that it's,
Right,
keeping
well,
the
it's just, the
property line.
proposed grades look like they're ending in the middle of the privet, with fill, so, any of this vegetation is fairly sensitive to any kind of fill on the roots, so that would be a concern, so.
okay, thank you.
So you intend on keeping the privet all on there, okay? Because that's what this would be based on, right? Any other comments, Mr.
No,
Rump?
No, I'm
Okay,
fine
thank you.
with
Mr. Jankowski?
No, I'm gonna go with the lead in the area, and
Okay.
then we'll just reiterate the fact that if the grading does go into the privet, then you just gotta make sure you replace it with exactly the existing, that's it.
Okay. Ms. Keys?
I agree with the lead. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Burke, are you on? I guess he's not. All right. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll approve, I'll make a motion to approve with, regarding the grading and understanding the grading and the impact of the existing privet.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion has made and seconded to approve with the stipulations that the vice chair mentioned. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you.
Thank you for
very
your time.
much.
Yep,
Appreciate it.
thanks.
Yeah,
Good
good
luck.
to see you again. Right. Okay, any other business to come before the board? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Charles.